Hello, everyone.
Hi, Ann. Good evening.
Hi, Ann. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
I'm so sorry for the last minute change. I don't know what happened to this program, but it changed ID on me.
No problem.
Looks like everyone got my message. Okay, we're
Hi,
gonna.
Ann.
Hey, Courtney, we're gonna give people a little while. Or that was Amy. I'm sorry.
That's
She-
okay.
Here, I saw the video. I was like,
Hi, Ann.
thought it was Courtney talking to me. We're gonna give people a minute to join.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Sorry about my background and my very informal dress, but I definitely wanted to come and meet everybody. I'm Eric Nimmons. I'm the Assistant Director for Code Compliance. It's a pleasure to finally meet some of you and see your faces. So
It's very nice meeting you. Thank you for joining, and don't worry about backgrounds. Half the time I have like child strollers behind me and all sorts of other stuff. So it's nice to be able to see people. So I appreciate it. We're gonna give another 2-3 minutes for people to join because I accidentally had to change the ID today. And I want to make sure everyone has a chance to join before we get started. And I'm also looking for police. They might not have gotten my message yet.
Ann?
Yes.
I made it for a little bit, so,
Hi, Albert. Yeah, we may start with you if police is going to the other meeting first. I just want to wait one more minute. I have Walt here, at least he was here. Here he is. Here's Walt, Larry, waiting for a couple more people from the board. Hillary's here, Courtney's here.
I'm here.
Hi. I'm just gonna wait one more minute and then we can get started. Okay, it's Chandri. Matt, Carrie, okay.
Hi, Ann. This is Walt. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, Walt.
Hi. I'm here. I just had to put my dog out. She wanted to be a part of the show, so.
No problem. I think we have most of the board on at this point. We might be missing Mike, but I think we can get started. Here's Mike. Never mind. Okay, board is complete. And I think we can get started. And if it's okay, I would start with Albert since he made time to be on the call today. And I don't think we have police on. So let's start with Albert and code compliance. And then we'll talk to Eric Nemmons for a minute. Sorry, I said Albert from code compliance from the net office, and then we'll talk to Eric from code compliance for a minute. I'm Ann Bao. By the way, I realize my name doesn't show. It says Belle Meade Homeowners Association. I'm Ann Bao, so it's very nice to meet you, Eric. Okay, Albert, let's go ahead with any code issue, with any administrative net issues. that you have.
just let you know, Legion Park is available for December 14th annual meeting. I
That's
forwarded you the
wonderful to
email.
hear. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to hear that.
And
that was wonderful to hear
the
that.
other thing was, I guess like a month ago, I received an email about the car washing business.
Yeah,
I did speak with our code inspector Hedge, and he's great. And he hasn't seen them yet, but he's monitoring the situation. And I believe I spoke to you. They were parked on a speed bump. You
Yeah.
can, and I gave you to MPA's phone number. So if you see that, just to call MPA so they can come out.
yes. Yes, we will do that. And I think we are, the people that live adjacent to that property are keeping an eye out. So thank you for bringing that up.
And the house on 73rd Street,
Yes,
I'll get the update from Inspector Hedge on that house, where they're at in terms of violations. And it looks pretty run down. What's
It does.
happening
Yeah.
What's happening right now is in the Palm Grove, I don't know if you know, people are buying homes and they're kind of letting it go, historic homes, for the process for the really for the reason to build a new home. And we're dealing with that on 68th Street, 638 Northeast 68th Street, a home that's historic. They're about to bulldoze it, knock it down, unsafe structure, but we got a 45-day repeat so it can go in front of the headboard. So there's some of that stuff going on.
It's called demolition by neglect.
Yeah, demolition by neglect. Who's this?
Selena.
Oh, what's up, Trey? Oh, good to hear. Yeah, so just so that's a little bit in there, but in terms of anything else, in Belle Meade, in terms of the signs, the speeding signs, I don't have an update on that. I don't know if I looked, I don't think they were placed in yet.
No, no. I followed up with Cameron a while ago. I'll follow up with him again. But I expected this to take a little bit of time, so.
Okay, and basically that's about it. If
Mhm.
anybody has any questions.
Okay,
Albert, it's Walt Allen. I was just reaching out for you. I'm not sure if you got a request for the street closure on December 18th for a holiday party.
nice.
No, I didn't get anything.
Okay,
I'm
then
gonna
I'll
email
make
you,
sure.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I walked over you.
No, that's fine. It was on my list of things to do. We just had lots of other stuff on the plate. Yeah.
Just send it over to me, and if police presence, all that, just let me know the streets, everything that's needed.
Will do.
Okay,
Will do,
thank you so
Albert.
much.
Yeah, you can expect that email from me.
Okay, thanks so much. Thank you.
Talk to you later. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining and talking with us. I know you had a busy
Yeah,
day.
yeah, I just have family. Yeah, thank you so
I
much.
appreciate that. Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Bye, Trelane.
Albert.
Bye,
See you
Trelane.
soon.
Hey, Eric, so you're the new code compliance, you said you were code compliance?
Yes, I'm the assistant director.
Assistant director, okay,
Almost not new. It's been a year almost.
okay.
It's a pleasure to finally be with you guys in Belle Meade. I know you've had some challenges here in the past year or two with some homes that have been, you've got the HEP issue with homes that people are purposely letting go into disrepair, and then also some of the island issues with the party houses that you have over there. So we've been working closely with some of your residents to address those. And there's been litigation on 70, Trelena, correct me if I'm wrong with the addresses. It's 7301 and 7305 are the party houses over there on the island.
Yeah.
So we've been in litigation with that. Senior Assistant Attorney, City Attorney Dooley has been working with Code to try to come to a resolution with the owners. We know we had an injunction on the house about 9 months ago, and that order actually expired, and then some of the behavior has returned. They signed a year lease with a tenant who is doing the same thing. So we're definitely continuing to work with the city attorney's office to address those with any legal actions that we can bring forth to assist the community. So that's what we've been working on. And I'm actually having a meeting with the team, with the acting director, who's Director Jeremy Gauger. We actually have a meeting with him, I think tomorrow or Thursday. Well, Thursday's a holiday, but tomorrow to discuss coordination with Code and Historic Preservation on doing some ride-alongs in the area to address and identify some of those neglect. We're very well aware of the 67th Street corridor issue. There's about 5 houses in that area that are in really, really bad shape. They're running liens and they've been in neglect for years. So we are working with HEP to try to address those. And as Albert said, we received an injunction, a 45-day stay on one of those particular homes. So we are working with the Historic Preservation Board closely to try to stop some of this, because we know what they're doing. They are trying to let the homes become, demolition by neglect, so that they could bulldoze them and put up their new mini mansions.
Right.
So we understand what your community is going through.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to continue to report, especially on the one that I walk by every day. That's just overrun with the air potato and, not being taken care of. No one's living there, no one's doing any work to it, and it's mind-boggling to me. But yeah, and I know they have multiple violations going on, so we'll keep an eye out and we'll keep you informed on our end as well.
If you guys want to copy me on those emails that you send to Supervisor Haynes and to Albert, we'll definitely put those on the radar. And I work closely with the legal department on some of these issues where we can have injunctive relief or whatever legal remedies we can offer to assist. We'll do that. So if you keep me in the loop, I'll definitely forward all the issues over to legal and make sure that we explore all options to remedy the issues.
Could you please send me your email address? You have my email?
I'm going to put it right in the chat.
Or in the chat, that's fine too. Yep. That would be great. Does any one of the neighbors have questions for Eric in terms of code compliance issues? No one? Okay.
Easy crowd.
Yes.
Eric, thank you for taking care of the abandoned trailer recently. Your team got on that quickly and gave a notice, and I don't know if they towed it or the person finally moved it, but I got 3 emails from your department on 3 of them, so I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Haynes, our supervisor we call her the Queen of the North. She and her team are amazing. So
They were told by police. We have told.
And police, we work really hand in hand with police. And so we're trying to coordinate better and have a better working relationship, collaborative relationship in the city with the departments. I know in the past it hasn't been the greatest, but in the 9-10 months that I've been there, I've made a concerted effort to definitely get to know the commanders and the lieutenants and the NROs and the teams. And, we really have a good relationship. So that always helps to work collaboratively with all the teams. And, anytime you guys need something and you cannot reach a department, whether it be public works or solid waste or planning or zoning or whatever, you can always send me an email and I can reach out and let them know, hey, we're having an issue up there in the north side in the Belle Meade area. And if you can assist. So I think that's, one of the strengths that I bring. I like to work collaboratively because that's the only way you can get things done quickly.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Talk to you soon. Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments for Eric? Otherwise, I would relieve him and Trelana Haynes from code compliance. Otherwise, we move on. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you, Trelana.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure meeting you all.
Very nice meeting you. Take care.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe we do not have police on yet, so I would like to just continue with our agenda, and when they pop on, we will let them give their update for today.
I'm reaching out to them right now to see if they're going to be joining.
I did send them an email. I don't know how good they are at checking last minute messages. While we wait, Walt, would you like to, should we start talking on some of our topics that we have? Do you want to start with the election? Where's Walt? There he is. Hi, Gary.
Give me 1 second, if we can just go forward and give me a minute to come back.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't hear the first part.
Give me 1 minute to come back. I'm dealing with another issue here on the phone.
Oh, okay, sure. Let's see here. We talked about this. We need Walt for essentially all of these things. We don't have this month, Matt, we don't have an update from you for security and safety, special taxing district. Nothing has happened since last month. Infrastructure, nothing much has happened either. I finally was able to get a response from Public Works on the pump station. So we've been waiting for two things. One is for them to finish the repair of these valves that they're doing right now, and that seems to have gone into some waiting periods due to having inspections, unforeseen inspections, and things like that. But at least I've gotten a response, which took 3 emails to get that response. And the other thing we're waiting on is an enclosure, a noise enclosure for the generator, and we're still waiting on that to be completed as well. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll update everyone as we get updates on that. But it's been a waiting game, and it's frustrating to have to dig and email and just be on top of them to finally get an update. But that's where we are. Police just joined us, so I would like to give them the opportunity to give us an update before we move forward with our internal agenda. Hi, everyone. Sorry to change the ID on you.
Hi, Ann. How you doing?
Zoom decided it was time for a new ID. I don't know what happened, but thank you for joining us. How's everyone?
Everybody's good. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. Yeah.
So as far as crime goes, we really don't have anything to report. You guys it's been real quiet inside Belle Meade, which is great. So as far as that goes, we're good. You guys have anything on your end? Any questions, anything?
I am not aware of any issues. Is anyone else?
Yeah, I do.
Larry, hi.
Hi, it's Larry Baber. I'm a director for beautification. And occasionally a police vehicle will park in front of the guard gate area. And on 2 occasions, their right front wheel has gone over our plastic barricade that keeps the gravel and soil in the planted area, and that's been crushed. So we're going to replace that, but I would ask that you let your officers know that be careful when they park in front of the guard gate, and be careful of that barrier, not run over it. It would be helpful.
Okay.
All right, great. Thanks a lot.
We'll definitely pass that information down to the supervisors.
Yeah, we'll let them know. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Does anyone else have?
Is there any other questions for us?
Thank you for coming.
And thank you again for inviting us to the dog event you had. Also, we had fun there.
And thank you for coming. It was nice to meet you all.
Sure.
Likewise.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Continue with your meeting. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you for chiming in.
The upcoming.
One more thing.
Oh, sorry.
We
Before we
wanted
go.
to remind you all that now that the holiday season is approaching, please be careful with leaving anything in your vehicles, with leaving packages at your front doorstep for too long. Cut any shrubs or any plants that might impede the officer from being able to visibly see your home. If you're going away on vacation, if your home's going to be vacant for a little bit, keep in mind you can put in the watch order request for the officers to rove around your home a few more times than usual. So just some tips for the holiday season. Obviously, we do have crime that comes in during this time because of the season. So we want to make sure that everyone's aware. We have to be a little bit more vigilant now.
Yep.
Got it. Yes, and we will make sure to remind the neighbors of that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay. Okay, Walt, are you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
All right.
Is it okay to move forward with talking about the election?
Yeah, we can move forward. I think we had a
I can't hear you, Mark. Paul.
Well,
Okay, yeah, I think we had a couple concerns.
can't hear you. Have trouble hearing you. Hello?
Okay, how about now?
It's very quiet. Like your microphone is blocked.
Okay, I think I'm gonna hop out and come on my
This is
portable
much
phone.
better. You're,
Okay.
right now, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, we have a couple concerns as far as the elections. I think we only have 5 people you indicated.
It's
And-
actually a total of seven confirmed candidates.
Okay, and per our bylaws, it indicates that we need 10 people for the elections.
Yes.
Okay, and I think we discussed internally how we're gonna get to resolution. Do you want to address that, how you're?
Yes, no problem. So as Walt mentioned, as of today, we have 7 confirmed candidates for our next board. And so we're going to extend the deadline one more time. I'm going to send out a message on the Google group and the chatter to see if 3 more people can become candidates for the next board so that we can hold an election. If not, we would be short. Like I said, the bylaws mentioned 10 candidates. And what we would do at that point is to put out a vote to the membership, meaning to all 150 people that are members of the HOA, and let them vote on whether they want to dissolve the board due to a lack of enough candidates, or whether we can move forward with the board of 7 candidates. And that is the plan right now. Going on. Sorry, I'm trying to mute someone who's giving me feedback. Hillary, can you mute yourself? I'm getting some feedback here. Let's see if I can mute everyone. That's me. Okay. So does anyone have any questions on this? I will also in my email out to everyone.
Sorry.
You're muted, but I don't know why I'm still getting. Are you logged on with 2 different accounts? Okay, this is better.
Okay, yeah, she's muted at this point. I just want to express
Well, I can't hear you.
just want to express to the members, because some people had concerns why we keep extending the deadlines, and I want to be very clear that we want to abide by the bylaws and be able to put the correct amount of people. I think we have someone else that's not muted, Roberto, perhaps.
No, this was someone else, Roberto, and I'm not sure why I can't. Okay, now I got it muted. Okay.
And also, this is Carrie Aronovitz. I'm also on the board. Anne, do you want me to do a share screen with our bylaws to show, that requirement of having 10 people on the board? 10
Sure.
people running?
I don't know. Yeah, can you do that? Are you able
Yeah,
to
give
do
me
that?
1 second.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, Anne, but you disabled. Can I
Oh.
share screen?
Let me see here. 1 participant, multiple participants. Okay, try now.
Perfect. Yeah, so if you can see my screen here, this is Article 6 Elections, Section 2. It says it shall be the duty of the election committee to present the names of not less than 10 candidates for the board of directors at the annual meeting. Nominations from the floor are always in order, provided the consent of the nominee shall have been obtained. So that's why, we want to make sure that it says that we shall have 10 candidates for the board of directors. And that's why we're asking to have a vote for all members of the association if they want to go forward with the 7 members and just let the 7 members continue with that board or just dissolve the board.
Right. So, like I said, we're going to give one more deadline. I'm happy to read out the names of the candidates just so that no one feels like they're being left out. As of right now, the candidates we have confirmed is Chandri Navarro, Deborah Commander, Marcia Martinez-Las, Michael Las, Hillary Yoroshi, Alex Caru, and Nick Welch. Those are the 7 confirmed candidates we have of right now. We're going to extend the deadline to Friday. If we get 3 more candidates, that's great. We'll move forward with the election and follow the bylaws. If not, we will put this out to vote to the membership to dissolve or move forward with the 7 candidates.
How can you violate the bylaws by by voting it? Like you can waive the manual or something? I mean, if it requires 10, how can the neighbors vote to reduce that?
I think that's a
10 is
fair,
10 according to bylaws, right?
yeah, I
Well,
think
the
that's,
bylaws, the bylaws allow you to operate the board with 5 or more members, which,
Sound like you just said 10.
no, so
candidates need to
you
be
need
10
10
to run the election.
candidates. You need 10 candidates for an election, but you only need 5 actual board members. So look, I think what we should do is have those 7 people be on the board and continue the board, but we're allowing essentially every member of the HOA to vote if that's what they want to do.
But you can vote to just disregard the bylaws then?
well,
we're
the
not
other,
disregarding
Mike,
Yeah, that's 10 and you're gonna just agree to do 7. It should be 10 if that's in
The bylaws require the nomination committee to present 10, but if there aren't 10 to present, you're not in violation of the bylaws because
say
the
that.
bylaws allow the board to continue with 5 people, right?
Correct.
That's what we're saying, but it's not in the bylaws, is it? Or is that in
It is,
paragraph you didn't reference?
it's in a different section, right?
Oh.
Well, the bylaws say that you need to have 5 members of the board.
at least, that's the minimum.
Then
You
10
have
candidates.
5,
And I hope we will be able to have that, and the next board will be able to move on with the people who have volunteered to be on that board.
Does that answer your question?
But how do we
Mike?
get around the 10 candidate requirement?
Oh, because if the
Legally,
membership votes to
legally.
go forward with those 7 candidates without holding an election, just
Carrie,
basically,
can you find a reference for that legality? At some point?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
what we're
not
doing,
comfortable with the people that are with the current situation. I'm not comfortable violating the bylaws.
well, we don't think we are violating the bylaws. We're
Well,
going
that's-
to allow essentially all of the members of the association to vote on this. The 2 options are, we can dissolve the board, which I hope people do not vote for, or we can continue with the 7 people who want to run.
But is that legal? And if you can find a reference for it to work, you can just disregard the 10 candidate requirement, then let's talk about it. But if you can't find the reference that says, oh, just do whatever you want if you can't find 10.
Well, it
Then-
doesn't say if you can't find 10 that you have to dissolve the board.
Well, you can't have an election, right? Without 10? I mean,
So we can,
it's a
so the
chicken and the
7
egg.
people who are operating, who have decided to run, can go forward.
I get that logically, but legally, I'm not comfortable unless I can read it. But I mean, I'm just one vote, but we basically said we're going to make up the rules as we go if all the homeowner members agree or the majority, but it doesn't seem quite legal if there's bylaws are there and it says you got to have 10, to me, it thinks you got to have 10. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. It would say you just have to have 5 options.
Well,
I think as a
to
board,
Mike,
we
to
can
Mike's
vote.
question, this is Grace, if I can say something. The current board of directors would have to amend the bylaws and a vote would need to be made to change the number 10 to 7 or whatever that magic number is. But
Okay.
that is required. You can't just you can't just change the bylaws, by word of mouth.
Right.
You have to change it and you have to amend
There's
the
a,
bylaws.
there's a mechanism for amending the bylaws, which we can
Sure.
also do. That's in the bylaws. I can pull it up for everybody to see what that shows. But essentially, I'll just read it. To amend the bylaws. Amendments. They may be amended at any general meeting of the association by a 2/3 vote of the members present and voting, provided notice in writing has been given at least 2 weeks in advance, and provided the proposed amendments are approved by the board of directors. So another option we could do is in the December meeting is a vote to amend the bylaws to, say we only need 5 candidates to run for the association.
Ori, when you
Eric-
say run for the association, so if you need to have 10 candidates, how many seats is that looking to fill? Because there's an election,
A minimum,
right? So,
yeah,
Right,
a
so
minimum
it's
of 5. And what's the maximum number, Ann?
eight.
okay, so we could come together so that we can potentially scoot around what seems to apparently be a contentious issue about amending bylaws, so we can hopefully keep a board together by having some volunteers who run and maybe ask for no votes.
Yeah.
You just
We could
need,
do
we just
that.
need candidates, right?
If 3 more candidates are willing to just put their name on the ballot, we can do that as well.
And do these
Yeah, we call that a
candidates,
straw candidate.
sorry, what? Yeah, straw candidate, okay.
A fake, you know, which is kind of a crime in other places, but go ahead.
But what are the rules in terms of being a candidate that's on the ballot? Do you have to which I assume have a residence in Belle Meade, and B, be a member of the homeowner association?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and that needs to be clear. I'm glad you asked that question, because I don't think by the way that people are answering the chat and emails that we have renters and we have people that are just, you know, living in free spaces, you know, and not paying rent. They're not even homeowners. I want to make that very clear that every candidate that's running is a homeowner, because that's the way it should be. It's an HOA.
They have to be not only a homeowner, but they also have to be a member of the association. Those are 2
Perfect.
explicit rules that are required to become.
Thank
a
you,
board.
Walt. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and I should just let everybody know, I'm actually not running again to be on the board. I don't believe Ann is running to be on the board. I don't believe Walt is running to be on the board. But we're trying to do the right
Will
thing.
not be running either.
Matthew's not running, but
I'm not running either.
Courtney's on. Our entire board is resigning, basically. But we hope the next board does well, and we hope that they can continue and do the great things for the whole community.
Were any of you resigning or not running, I should say, however we want to put it, before the turn of events of the last week or so?
Yes,
I think that was the final straw for a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was on the
it's hard
fence.
when you volunteer and you set aside all this extra time that you really don't have to help the community. And it's unfortunate, but yes, that was the final straw for most of us.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on the fence, but I'm definitely not continuing to run.
Yeah, I saw your email, Corey. Thanks.
Okay. So what's our plan, Carrie? Basically, we are hoping for 10 candidates, and if we don't have 10 candidates, we need to amend the bylaws. Is that it?
We can do that. I think that could be, I mean, I think as a board, do you want to vote as that now that we will put on the December meeting to potentially amend the bylaws, and that one specific requirement of 10 candidates to only have 5 candidates?
Can I ask a
Very little.
And we don't have to vote, we're not going to vote in favor of that now, but we could vote to have that on the December meeting.
Can I ask a quick question? I'm unclear as to the interpretation of the statutes. The bylaws, if the bylaws require a presentation of 10 candidates for an election, that's completely and wholly apart from how many members are required, the 5 members that are required to be on the board. So I would assume that if you only have 5 or 7 or 8 candidates, you don't need to run an election. You have sufficient folks to be on a board.
Well, I may have a different interpretation of that, and I think some other people within the community have. If
Okay.
you don't have the 10 people, I don't believe you can move forward.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make clear. What is that an interpretation of the reading of the bylaws?
It is, and I think that a couple people, or at least I saw one other person, had one of the same comments to that effect, and it's also been the conversation I've had with a few people. So I think that's the situation where we're at. We have to make next month have to make a decision whether we're going to vote for the bylaws from 10 people to a lesser number. because currently as the bylaws exist, I don't believe we can go forward with elections.
Thanks, Will.
Well,
Appreciate that.
So to Chandri's question, do we need to have somebody else look at this interpretation of the bylaws before we try to amend bylaws to just see if 5 is a minimum number?
Well, I
Well,
think
I
that
mean,
the 10 is
again,
very clear.
there's not much to interpret. I can put again, I'll put up the bylaws again and this, what we're talking about. Just give me one moment.
No, I
They're
I
on the
saw-
website too, right?
Yeah,
I saw-
the bylaws are on the website
Yeah, so
and,
they can reference it.
But I think the bylaws are different than HOA statutes, aren't they?
No,
yes. Bylaws
Florida
and statutes are different things. Here, this is Article 6 elections, and we're talking about Section 2. It shall be the duty of the election committee to present the names of not less than 10 candidates for the board of directors at the annual meeting.
But there's no indication of what happens if you don't present
Right.
them. So
Right.
the fallback is to the bylaws earlier in the bylaws, right? Which say that a minimum of 5.
Right.
They're separate events, though.
Yeah, those are two separate things. We're talking about membership on the board, and we're talking about elections. I don't think you can have one without the other.
Yeah.
And I believe you must have the 10 members to move forward to be able to seat 5 people on the board to assume the 5 positions.
That's where the shall comes in. Shall is required.
Chandri, do you agree with that?
Look, I'm not, this is not my specific area of law. I am an attorney, so I do interpret statutes and bylaws all the time, but I think there's nothing wrong with interpreting it that way. And if the board wants, the current sitting board wants to vote to run it this way, I think that's seems to me perfectly legitimate.
Chandri, I agree with you. I'm also a lawyer. I'm not an HOA lawyer.
Right.
I think though that people on the board are, particularly in a separate mood about this because a legal letter was sent to us, threatening us with essentially, it seems like personal liability. So
I completely agree. Absolutely.
People want to make sure they do, whatever these bylaws say. But so I agree. I agree with your interpretation. I totally think we could go forward with 7, given that we don't have 10. But I think the 2 options to go forward would be to amend the bylaw, which we could do in December if we don't have 3 more people. Or we can do this vote of all the homeowners association members to just say that they agree to continue the board with the 7 people who want to run.
Karen, can I ask a question for a second? Sorry. Is it possible for a board member who's volunteering their time to actually be sued by a HOA resident, like personally in their?
Yes, yes,
can?
the answer is yes. And also, I want all of you to, I think I'm suggesting this, that for those of you that are interested in bylaws, law, and ordinance, there's a good resource called Board Source. Look it up. Board Source gives you all the ins and outs about running a board and how the board should be run. Also, Robert's rules should be kept as a guide. But more importantly, Belle Meade Homeowners Association is a nonprofit board. I want all of you to understand that. So there's a big difference between a for-profit board, which is a lot of the condo laws and condo associations that we have. Ours is a not-for-profit. So it runs a little bit differently. It doesn't have any staff members. It has only volunteers. So please, go to the boardsource.com. They have a ton of information how this is run. Changes can be made at any time as long as you document them, as long as you include them in the minutes. I have a ton of experience on board. I've served many, many leadership roles for the last 20 years on boards. Any changes could be made. Just make sure that they're documented and voted and the bylaws amended. That's all.
Is it possible to put something in the bylaws that protects members of?
No. The only thing that protects members is called board insurance. It's a board liability insurance, which runs for about $1,000 to $2,000 a year. And every board member that signs up should know that they can be sued. Now, I do understand, and I have read the letter that was sent by the attorney, and I'm not really understanding why the attorney is even representing such a thing, because there are no damages, but that's another topic of discussion. So, but just know that before you run and you raise your hand, that any board position that you serve as a volunteer, you can absolutely be sued.
Ridiculous.
Curious, is that $1,000 per board member, or is that $1,000 for the
It's
entirety
a
of the board?
$1,000 to $2,000 per year premium, up to like 10 board members.
Okay, thank you.
So my
You're welcome.
question is, why would anyone want to step up and volunteer for such a position?
Exactly.
Therein lies the problem.
Well, it's a question of if you're going to have to then get this insurance, which I've been and participate on a number of boards where we do have director's insurance. But it becomes a more expensive proposition than to be to have we're gonna have to put that cost out to the membership.
Well, why not address it? If Deborah's on the call, why not address what everyone's talking about then as to why the board are being sued?
Yeah, Sean, I don't think this is going to be the proper forum for that. I think that has to be an offline conversation, perhaps with her and her attorney. I think we're going to create more issues.
But it's Walt, it's a reason that a lot of people wouldn't consider running for a board, because some people appreciate the board and the hours and the work that they do. Some people don't. Some people don't to the extent that things can't be handled amicably and they've gone to legal. And there's a lot of people maybe on this chat, there's 31 people, it's more than the norm, that might be considering, running for something, but there's no board anymore when you guys step down. Therefore, you're going to get 5 or 7 candidates who have no one to hold their hands and go through what's happened in the last year of the board's time. It just seems like a big task and a big ask for everyone who's running, also with the fear of, another disgruntled neighbor suing them.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm going to defer because I have a definitive opinion on this one. So I'll let you guys, if you have a concern, we'll go ahead and address that concern. But I just ask that we be courteous and we're not retaliate against people tonight. So let's be courteous. Consider them guests in our home, but you can ask the questions you need to ask.
Okay, can we move on from elections? Okay, good, thank you.
So just to be clear, Ann, we will be putting an agenda item on for December where the board will be making a vote whether to amend the bylaws or to dissolve the board. Is that what the motion and the recommendation will be?
This is
Yeah,
Matt.
I
I
would,
think
I
what we
would, I
heard
would
was
make a motion now that we, for the December meeting, amend that one bylaw and change it to if that at least 5 people shall run for the election.
I'm sorry, guys. This is Alex Carew. I'm new in the community, and I was really willing to run for the board because I think that what you're doing is great. Can you hear me all?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But not willing to discuss with the people who send the letter, the legal issue and the real reason for that letter and that prosecution, suing, whatever it is, with the board now, and telling what you are just saying and what Grace and I think Chandri said about the responsibility of the board members doesn't make me want to run for the board anymore. And no one is going to will to run for the board with this. So either we address the issue, the legal issue now or soon before the election, or you're going to have nobody running for the board, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, thank you, Alex. I mean, that echoes, I guess, the letter that one of the letters that was sent this week saying, why even be on the board if you're going to be sued? Look, I think our board's been open since, was it 1991, if not earlier? These bylaws are from 1991. I don't know of any time of somebody being personally sued on the board. we will talk about that letter in a little bit. You know, the board hasn't officially decided how we're going to respond to it. It only came in last Friday. I think, you know, Chandri can also look at it. I am not an HOA lawyer, but I think a lot of that letter is highly off base. Most of those records requests by statute, this isn't just an interpretation. Most of those records requests are for a mandatory board where home ownership, it's required to be on the board, and where the board has the ability to put a lien on your property. None of that exists here. We are a voluntary board. We are a nonprofit organization. You don't have to be on the Belle Meade board or a director by any means. So all those records requests most likely do not apply to us. So we do want to clarify that we're still determining how we're going to respond to that letter. But you know, that's our initial take on it.
Okay.
I still don't understand why we're not speaking about it. Deborah's on the call. We're all grown adults. She's issued legal proceedings against the board. You've been discussed now that you're possibly personally liable, which has turned Alex away from doing it, and maybe some of the others who are talking about doing it. Why don't we just address it and either drop this? It's obviously not the best put together if the attorney asking things that aren't relevant to a voluntary board, not a mandatory board. Let's deal with it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So look, what was said to us is not a subpoena. It has no legal power. It's just a lawyer writing a demand letter. It's not, nobody has actually been sued yet. And I don't know what sort of lawsuit there would be at this time. But I think we're going to provide the records that we have. But ultimately though, yeah, that letter to us was for, the statute is specifically to a mandatory board, which is something that we are not in this association. We have about half of the houses are choose to be members. They choose to pay the $40 dues, and that's a choice. It's voluntary. We're not a mandatory board. As far as speaking further on it, though, I don't know if people want to, because again, now lawyers have been paid to be involved. And so, you know, people are concerned about their own personal liability.
Look, I'm sorry that you're all stepping down. I think you've actually done a fantastic job. There's a lot of stuff being done, you know, in terms of looking after the guards that were on the gate. They all said they all appreciated it. As far as I know, they're all still there in the job. The ramps were done, which was taking a long time. Anyone who does it, whether it's last year or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, or at any stage, anyone who's represented a voluntary board should be thanked. If they do something that you mightn't like, or you would have rather a different decision, it doesn't matter. They're an elected representative. I just think it's a shame, but thank you. And I'm sorry you're all stepping down.
Thanks, Sean.
Agreed 100%.
Thank you, Sean.
Again, thank you, Sean. We appreciate your support of the board, but every person is going to have to make that personal decision, what works best for them, their families, and, you know, and abiding by their legal responsibilities. So I think we're gonna move forward from here, and we will address those other issues in the December meeting.
Can we just circle back to clarifying what Carrie had said we had agreed to? Is it that the vote would be to just proceed with 5 candidates and no election, or 7 candidates and no election? Or would it be to conduct an election? I just want to make sure we're not conducting an election for no reason, because that's additional administrative work for the board that at this point.
I think if we proceed with amending the bylaws, and I'll defer to Carrie, but if we proceed with amending the bylaws, an election would be not be necessary, because these people would be essentially be running unopposed, and there are enough seats for those new board members. And after those board members are seated, then they would select the different positions that would be available.
Yeah,
But I
I guess I
thought
just wanted to add really quickly that, hey, this is Matthew on the HOA. I just wanted to add really quickly that it seems odd for us, an outgoing board with just another month left, to be modifying bylaws. And typically it's not something I would personally want to get involved in, changing bylaws at this stage. But because it relates directly to, I guess, the future of the board, I would probably make an exception, but I can't imagine any of the other board members wanting to like start dipping into changing bylaws at this stage, considering where we are today.
Yeah, but
And you're absolutely right.
but Matthew,
other options
when
do
were
you
those
have?
bylaws put into effect? What year? I mean, now we're in 2020,
think-
was it put in, 1990?
I think
Oh
1991.
yeah.
So maybe it's time that the bylaws be amended because every year or every 2 years or 3 years, it seems like it's harder to get people to serve on the board, trying to get 10. So if you have a lower number, it might be easier. And there's
Yeah, I
no
mean, I
reason
guess
the bylaws can't be amended.
I hear you, Roberta, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think what I was saying is that I would suggest that be the limit of how many changes we're going to start making to bylaws at this stage. It's really just for the sake of trying to sustain the HOA and not let it dissolve.
I agree.
But
That would be our only option otherwise, right? If we can't hold an election, it would dissolve automatically. Is that right, Carrie? Do you know? Because the bylaws don't specifically say that, correct?
I personally don't think, I think, I agree with Chandri that we could do essentially the 7, and given that they are the people running and there's more than 5, I think the next board could move forward with those 7. But if we want to certainly be safer, as dot all of our I's, cross all of our T's, let's just do the amendment to the bylaws. If 2/3 of the board agrees, and we can change it from 10 people that need to run to 5 people that need to run.
Yeah, it also just like removes the administrative burden of administering elections, which is a substantial undertaking. I mean, I've run 2 of them. It takes a lot of effort to do. So,
But we have to run we have to have all the members vote, right? We have to have 2/3 of the members vote also, right?
I mean, no matter what, we're committing to running another election about whether or not we're going to change bylaws. So, I mean, it
could be 2 elections. Yeah. Let's just do one. Yeah.
I do feel like, given that from what I was told before, there really only needs to be 5 members of the board, that if there are 7 candidates, although from what we heard from Alex, of course, there now might be 6, that we could still have the opportunity for an election. And I do feel like in an environment where there seems to be some contention, that you don't just put people into positions because they're the only ones who raise their hands necessarily, if there's even 1 more or 2 more people who could fill a board.
I agree. But the problem, I think, with the election, if I'm understanding this correctly, you need 10 candidates and then you can fill as many as 8 positions. So it's a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 8 positions on the board.
I wasn't aware of the maximum. Okay. I mean, I think this speaks a little bit to what I think we're addressing later in the call, is that, and I second Sean, I would love to hear from Deb, just because we are a community, we are a neighborhood, but there does seem to be some serious contention right now that is concerning on multiple levels. One of which is that, there's a volunteer board that feels like, to me, is being slightly attacked from left field. But I would love to hear from the other side of that, if you will. And at the same time, I would feel very uncomfortable not, as a community, hearing from Deb and then changing a bylaw and then having her on the board without hearing, where's the upset coming from?
So
Because that could have a hugely negative impact on our community as a whole.
So I'm making a suggestion, and we can agree or disagree on this, but perhaps tonight is not the right meeting to do just that. If we wanted to do that, perhaps we need to call an additional meeting.
That's fine. No, that's totally fine. And I understand that. But then I would also suggest that we need to keep pushing back the election. We're kind of in this weird position whereby this has come to the fore and it's turning off a lot of people from running potentially. And the rest of us don't really understand what the situation is. And to hold an election whereby someone who clearly is very upset about what is going on could just, through a change of bylaws by the current board, none of whom are running again, could put that person on the board. I think we're almost in a standstill situation whereby election almost can't be held and or board can't resign because we're just in too much of a state of flux that feels very uncomfortable for communities such as ours, whereby, you know, it makes up all of our lives.
Hey, Ann, I have a question for you too. This is Cindy, by the way. One of the things that this might have highlighted, and one thing that we might look at offering for future problems should they arise, is there a process that can be broadcast so that if someone or someone's have a grievance or something that that they want some clarity on, that there's a more formal process that they can request things, you know, before it gets to that next step. You know, I'm not taking away, you know, Deb has the right to do what she's done, but if there were other mechanisms in place, you know, perhaps there might have been a different decision made prior to taking that leap. So is there a way to maybe make something a little more known, so that people, if there is a situation that their questions can be addressed before it gets to that end result?
But that's what board meetings are about. You have a board meeting and we're all attending, those that are interested, and we get to say what we feel about everything.
I understand, but those are monthly. I mean, there might be something that comes up that someone might feel a more urgent need for addressed. And even if that response is simply, we've got a meeting next month scheduled for this time, you know, I'm just wondering if that might help for any future issues.
I don't think that issue has not been addressed. Everyone knows that you have the ability to send a formal request to the board, and that was specifically done in Deb's case. We actually have that item on the agenda tonight that we were going to speak to that. So I'm not sure where the perception is that you don't have a formal way to address the board. There is, and it has worked in the past, and
Okay.
it's being addressed tonight. So
That's all I needed to know. Thanks so much, Walt.
okay.
Do you want to move on to that item then, Walt?
Yes, we had the issues that or the amendments that Deb Stander wanted to make to the HOA board. We have had internal discussions regarding that, and tonight my recommendation would be to table that item. I don't think it's appropriate for us to move forward. One of the reasons is I don't want to burden a new board with that issue or those restrictions. And I'm gonna call for a vote from the board because I think a lot of people on the existing board feel the same way. We should not be tying the hands of a new board. So at this point, I'd like for us to call for a vote whether we support the amendments that Deb Stander has put forward, and which is the basis for some of these legal questions that are being brought up now.
I'd support that motion to put it to vote.
I'll say second it.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second, and we can go ahead and call the roll for the vote. And
So we're voting on whether to move forward with our amendments. Is that right? Did I understand you correctly there?
that is correct.
Okay.
And
So-
I will be no, I do not support moving forward with the amendments.
No here too?
No.
No.
Mike, no. Oh, Mike Gaither, no.
Larry, no.
We have everyone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are we missing anyone? I think that's it.
Courtney?
Hillary.
Yeah, I said no.
We're missing
Already
Hillary,
voted.
Okay.
but we have a majority.
We have a quorum and a majority.
All right, and so for the record, the entire board does not support these amendments that Deb Stander has brought forward. Those issues have been addressed in this board meeting, and we can move on to the next item.
Okay, I think with that, we can move forward to maybe some happier items. Let me scroll through this here. We've talked about this, we talked about infrastructure. The next topic would be social events
Okay.
change. So we want to talk about, you want to talk about the budget items first, Walt? It was 3 separate items. Should we go through that first? That was a vote as well.
Yeah. Let's deal with the first
Yes.
regarding this. The donation for Women for Paws for the dog parade expenses. We
Yeah.
had suggested a $200 reimbursement or donation to Women for Paws. At this point, I'd like to see if we can go ahead and vote on expending the $200 to Women for Paws. And I would vote yes for that.
Yep. Voting.
This is Carrie. I vote yes.
Yes. Okay.
Larry, I vote yes.
Courtney?
Mike votes yes.
I vote yes.
Okay. All in favor.
Thank you all. I really appreciate this, but I also want you all to know that my kindness and having this event and helping out at the doggy parade and doing everything and buying the flyers and doing the vinyl sign and promoting it and putting it on Eventbrite was really my gift to Belle Meade. So just your generous donation, giving the expense back to me, I really appreciate it because I expense everything. Every donation that comes to Women for Paws is, you know, it's a donation, a direct donation, and all the expenses are paid by me personally. So I really appreciate your kindness with this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Grace, because the event was such a hit, and it was great to see the community out and actually having some fun. So if it wasn't for you and Margaret setting everything up and helping me, it wouldn't have happened. So thank you so much, and to Margaret.
Thank you. We do it from the heart, and it's for the kids and really the pets in our neighborhood. So I'm glad that everybody had a great time.
Thank you.
And congratulations to baby.
That was
So
great.
this is Mike. So it's $200 to Grace.
$200 to Grace. That's right.
Okay, I'll send that out, Grace. It'll come from Wells
It's to
Fargo.
Women for Paws, not Grace. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. It's Women for Paws, please.
Okay. And
Thank
put
you
your
so
home
much.
address, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next expense we can vote on are the Guard holiday gift cards. Walt, you were talking about 100 each.
That would be my recommendation. Of course, we are a board and we will vote on, first of all, whether we would give a holiday gift for the guards, and then 2, we would vote for the amount. So I think the first thing is we should call a vote whether we will be giving a donation to the guards for this holiday season, as we have typically done in the past.
Okay.
And my vote would be yes.
I was just going to vote. I mean, I was actually going to recommend, it's 4 full-time guards, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
I was actually going to recommend $200 per guard. What's our budget right now is at where approximately, Mike?
Oh, we have $4,900, and then we still have to pay for the holiday party.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend to the guards 200 per guard as like the holiday bonus. I think people in the community learn that we are doing a tip for the guards, and I think because of that, sometimes they themselves don't think that they give a tip because they think it's all coming from the board. So if that is the case, that's kind of why I think, and we do have the budget for it right now. These are the guards that are out there 24 hours a day all year. So
I wholeheartedly agree with that, Corey.
I do too.
Yeah.
They really
So
are.
anyway,
They're our
so my
front face
vote,
of
my
the
vote would actually
community.
be 200 per guard.
I second that. Mike seconds that.
I'll just throw one thing out there, and then we'll take a vote. We are stewards of the money for a HOA, and if we as a majority of the board feel comfortable with making the $200 per person donation then we can move forward. But I just had concerns with the amount. So
We did pay them, I think it was $75 last year.
Yes, it was less in the past years, and perhaps what we can consider is to meet in the middle. Wall proposed 100, Carrie proposed 200. Can we meet at 150?
What's the overall budget that's left in the coffers for this? I don't know actually what the fiscal year is, forgive me, but.
We have 4,900, and we still have to pay for the holiday party, which I think is around 3,000 in December.
Okay. And,
So
and
that would leave
do you like
about,
to keep a
1,900.
select fund?
What's that?
And you like, obviously there needs to be some sort of rainy day slush.
Well, we have a new fund drive in January or February. So this year we raised 5,900 or 5,000, and we've only spent 2,500 so far. So each year seems to kind of, but we didn't have any events, I guess, in 19 because of COVID. But
Sure.
So
I just think we really need to think about, given how much we have and this projected expense of the holiday party, the people who, yes, they don't have power to stop people coming in. Yes, they don't, anyone can come in, et cetera, but it's a pretty important gesture to make. And I know I'm not on the board. I'm just feel like sharing an opinion.
All right, you're swaying me because I was just concerned about how much we would have left over at the end of the year. But basically, if we made that donation for 800, that would leave us with approximately 1,100, and I think that's reasonable. So
let me ask Mike, what do we have on ongoing expenses every month with maintaining the barricades? And since I'm not running again for beautification, and for 15 years I've been maintaining the guard gate myself. So since I'm not running, I don't think the next director will do this, maintain the guard gate area. So I think we have to increase our services with Phoenix Landscaping to do it once a week rather than once a month. So it's going to be an additional expense coming up. I don't have the figure for us now, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, we basically our monthly fixed expenses are $92 to Margaret for poop bags. And then Phoenix, I think, is 200 and something. He only bills like quarterly. So,
Phoenix
and then, well, yeah, he just bills whenever he feels like it. But basically for 4 months was 780. So maybe it's 180 a month or so.
Okay. But that will go up slightly, but I'm just trying to make sure we had enough money to cover maintenance for barricades and stuff.
Yeah.
Considering that there would be a new fund drive, membership drive at the beginning of next year, first quarter of next year, I think it should be fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's their job to raise the money. And honestly, Belle Meade's become a lot more wealthier. So if people need to throw in money for any party, I'm sure it wouldn't be an issue if Chloe raised $2,000 in a week, for her cat stuff. I think Belle Meade's changed since 91, and there's a lot more money to be thrown around, and I think it wouldn't be an issue.
Larry, if you can get that number for us, what would happen if they came weekly and what that would entail, then I think that would help us.
I did get it this morning. He said, would $50 a week extra be okay? That's what, $200 a month more. But maybe
this is only the guard gate area. This is not all the barricades. This is only the guard gate area.
Only the guard gate area additionally, yeah. Because they have to water the pots, they have to pull weeds from the pots, pick up trash, pick up palm fronds, and we have to keep it looking nice for people that come in Belle Meade. So it has to be done once a week by somebody.
Right. Okay, so I think we can certainly, have that information handy, that if you can get that in writing, what that entails and how much.
All right. We can vote on it maybe in December.
Yep. And whoever's going to be on the new board, they can then decide whether they want to increase the membership fee or not.
Right.
Okay. So do we want to vote then on 200?
Okay, I vote for it.
I vote, Mike votes for it.
I've Carrie, I vote yes.
Yes.
Yes, for Walt.
Okay, yes for Ann.
Yes, for Matt.
Okay.
Hey, I just noticing there are some questions in the chat from two people had the same question, which was if Deb's proposed amendments are published somewhere or visible to non-board members.
I thought she sent that out on the Google group, if I remember correctly.
I sent it out.
No, that we're talking about the email that she sent about amending the bylaws.
Oh,
that we just voted
well, it was
against.
voted down, so it's moot, right? There's nothing to read because it's dead.
We can, Mike, but I think if people are curious what the verbiage was, we can send
Okay.
it out.
That's what I was thinking, was they should, if folks want to see them, they're welcome to.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I think just to clarify, we just believe the next board, will vote on that when the time comes, but it's not something that an outgoing board should vote on, something to do the bylaws that are that serious.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was a good clarification to make, Carrie, that as an outgoing board, we're basically voting to table it for the new board to take on if they so wish. Okay.
And I think it's important to note that there were two amendments that we were proposing that was on the agenda tonight. And for the same reason, we didn't want to impose those restrictions upon a new board in this current environment. And that's the reason why those items were stricken.
That's exactly right. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I think we were feeling like they were onerous and restrictive and that it was asking a lot of the board. So those were kind of the reasons, but anybody that wants to see them should be able to take a look at them.
Yes. So do I need to ask permission of Deb to send this out, or can I just send out?
Deb is on this call. Maybe she could respond and let us know.
And I don't think we need to do that. She sent it to the board. We've made a commitment to be more open. And I think if we received it from the community, we should send it back out to the community. So I don't think you need permission to be able to send something that was sent to the board.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will do that. No
I
problem.
mean, it's our property now that she sent it, so it's
okay. All right.
Can we just real quickly touch base on what so we need 2 weeks notice for the election for the special to vote to change the bylaws, right?
That's
and
correct.
How do we physically vote? Paper or WhatsApp group or
typically when we have the in-person meeting, we have the ballots that are going to be available to people. You put those out beforehand. Some people can vote at the actual meeting, but I think Matthew was working on the process where we might be able to do it electronically again.
Yeah.
And if that
the last election, if you recall, I'm not sure who in the room here participated, but I created a Google poll and we conducted the election using a Google poll, which is a very secure way of running an election because it uses Google's infrastructure. And, we moved the board over to G Suite, which is Google's enterprise platform. And it's pretty much an industry standard in many businesses. So that was how we were planning to conduct it.
And we can see their names so we can match it with the membership list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way we conducted the last board was the way we conducted the last election was it required a Gmail address. So that was our way of.
Because I see some people on the call right now that I don't see on the 2021 member list. So I don't know how they got, you know what I mean? So there's some discrepancies there, unless I don't think I missed an entry, but.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like
we need to make sure we send out the election ballot only to members, to existing members.
Yeah, only HOA members get to vote. No, not all Belle Meade gets to vote.
We have our roster, right?
Yeah, but as I'm saying, like if someone's on the call right now that's not a member, then they might be able to vote, but they're not actually a member. So
Yeah.
We need to just,
mean,
and I can do that, match them up, but
Mhm.
it's on the Google spreadsheet as well, all the
Yeah, and I
2021
need
numbers.
to update the distribution list before we send the email out. Just make sure that's up to date.
But there's a lot without Gmail though. I mean, they're just random emails. Some don't
Well,
even have
whatever
an email.
email they have, yeah, it'll be
Okay.
captured.
Okay.
And may I
Yes.
have a moment? to have a
Yeah,
word?
I saw you. Yep, go ahead.
All right, I want to just make very clear what my hope was in asking the board to amend the bylaws. We've had a huge amount of trouble this year, and one of the things that I hoped we could resolve by amending our bylaws would be to make sure that we just never go through again what happened this year. I think everybody has to acknowledge, just from what you've seen recently, that our community has just been in a state of mass confusion about exactly whether volunteers can be held accountable for their actions by any laws. Are we regulated by any laws at all? What kind of an association are we? Are we just a goodwill club? Do we have power? Do we have to follow laws? What laws? It's mass confusion. And for a board to be able to function properly and avoid, all these issues, we have to have a lot of clarity in our bylaws. And one of our problems is that our bylaws are extremely broad. They're very general. They don't provide any kind of specific guidance to board members that set out what their responsibilities are, that say, board members, you have to follow laws. Board members, you have fiduciary duties. Association members, you have rights. You have the right to participate at every meeting. You have the right to participate in discussions. Our bylaws don't speak to that. They rely on the statutes that underlie them and on Robert's rules, which are contained in a separate handbook that people just don't even know about. So the proposal was just simply, look, folks, let's understand we need to know what we're doing and how we're doing it. Everybody, board members, association members. So I sent along these amendments, which simply incorporate the most basic concepts that homeowners associations universally follow. Meetings have to be noticed. For a decision to have any validity, there has to be a quorum, whether it's of the board members or association. Members are allowed to participate at board meetings, at every meeting. Members are allowed to speak. Board members have fiduciary duties. Those include No big deal, not a huge revamp, but just putting in the most basic things so that people understand exactly what their rights and duties and obligations are. And I had hoped that the board would pass the proposed amendments now, because annual meetings are usually the time when such proposals are passed. And in fact, Walt in August had made a statement that if there were going to be any amendments to the bylaws, they should be made in December. So I simply have complied. I tried to address this in June. I wasn't given the opportunity to address it by the board. And in fact, I was even muted. And as a result of my frustration of not being able to even hold a discussion on the topic without having people literally, just practically want to run me out of town on a rail. One of the things that I felt I needed was to get an attorney to help me just be able to even ask that the board consider these most basic, reasonable things. So if you don't want to do it now, that's your decision. I certainly am not going to argue with you. You obviously had time. I sent you a letter this morning. I explained my situation very clearly. I explained I cannot talk about these things in detail in terms of my legal thing, et cetera, because I don't want to have people asking me questions, and we're talking about legal issues. I'm not a lawyer. I can't put myself in that position, but I do want to make very clear why I asked the board to consider these bylaws, and to make very clear that I tried to do it last June, last July, sent it to you, well in advance now for you to have plenty of time, explained it again this morning. So please don't think that I made any kind of unreasonable demands or anything that was wild or off the charts. I think they were necessary. I think we need to do it so that we never have any of this kind of confusion again. People are saying, oh, you can't sue volunteers. And people are saying it's not a real HOA. I mean, this is ridiculous. We can't have this if you're going to have a serious HOA. So that's what I have to say. You made your decision. So be it. That was the whole purpose of my bringing that forward.
Thank you for clarifying that for everyone. And I will be forwarding that to everyone so they can read through what you'd proposed. Okay. Questions, or can we move forward?
I think we can move forward.
Okay. So we voted in favor of the $200 per guard. The last thing we need to vote on tonight is the holiday party. Walt, you've mentioned a budget. So we need to vote first on whether we want to spend money on that.
Yeah, I think we have to vote first on whether we want to have the holiday party, and two, for the maximum amount that we're going to allocate for the party.
Okay, so we're voting on whether we want to spend on the holiday party first.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So there's clarity and no question.
Okay. Yes.
I vote yes, Carrie.
Walt, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Mike, yes.
Great. Brittany, did I hear you yet?
Yes.
Okay, great. And now on to the budget that we want to vote on. Walt, do you want to?
I'm going to suggest $3,000 based on the expense, and just I give everybody forewarning. The expenses that we previously spent on the parties, I think due to COVID, everything's been exaggerated. So the things that we used to get for $100 last year or 2 years ago are now $150, $200. So everything has went up. So when we start looking at some of the costs, for example, one of the items we brought up was face painting for 2 artists for 2 hours. That's now $300. We used to be able to get that for $100 or $125. Our table and chair expenses. So right now the budget is $3,000 is what I would recommend.
Okay. Can we vote on that? I vote yes.
Well,
I vote yes.
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 I'm in favor.
Okay.
Hi, this is Carrie. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And the other thing I think is important to mention, I know we'll send it out in the notifications to the members later on, but all association members will get 2 tickets for the event that they'll be able to get food with. Anyone else will need to purchase a ticket for food, and that'll be through the catered food. We will have, and based on the board, we will have some hot dogs and snacks for the younger kids. So that would be my recommendation, and that's probably going to be another $100 for those.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Anyone have any questions? We will be looking for volunteers to help out with the party. If anyone is interested in helping us out, if anyone knows of entertainment, kids entertainment, DJ, things like that, they can certainly come forward to us. We would appreciate any help or recommendations. for these types of things. It's going to be on December 18th, which is Saturday. That's the day before Grace's Meet Santa. So, Courtney, did you want to talk about holding it on the same day, or are you okay doing it on Saturday?
Yeah, we did discuss that, but Grace, I believe she's still on. She did have something planned with Santa on Sunday. So I think she wanted to keep that separate.
Yeah, I think so. Grace, what do you think?
Yeah, so I thought, first of all, it's a huge expense on the, on the homeowners association to bring a Santa that we don't even know. So last year, my wife and I created this Santa, and I hope there's no kids on the line, but it's my father-in-law's, my wife's father, who played the role perfectly, who we bought this beautiful Santa outfit for. And because all the malls were closed and there was no way for kids to see a Santa, we created this on our front lawn. I bought this mailbox, and I still have the kids' letters in the mailbox, which is so cute. I mean, I'll treasure these forever, and I'll share with them when they grow up and they're in high school. But so we're willing to do that again at our home. It's free of charge. It's not a fundraiser. We're doing this because I love children, we love families, and we love our neighborhood. So we thought, if you do a Santa and I do a Santa, that's going to be misleading for the kids. So if you let me do the Santa and you let me do this on Sunday, it's going to be at my expense. I'm not homeowners, and this will be a kids gathering. Most families are available on Sunday, not Saturday. So any way that we can help, we're here. But if you do choose to have a Santa at your party, then I can't have a different Santa, because that's going to be super misleading for the kids. So it's totally up to you. I'm going to be supportive. I'm going to be volunteering. I'm going to be helping you, whatever you need from me. But that was my plan, to have that, because many kids have expressed, they've stopped by and they said, hey, is Santa coming this year? So how can I say no to any child? So that's what I was thinking.
And what time, again, were you going to hold it on Sunday?
So I was thinking, I don't know, 5:30, earlier. My wife is nodding her head, probably earlier, 4:30. It's up to you all. It's up to the moms of, in our Belle Meade chat, that, what time, I want to make it really fun. I want the lights out. I want the real Santa. I bought this big, white tent so Santa can be underneath it. I have the mailbox for the letters and stuff. So it's really up to you all what time you want me to do this. My father-in-law is a sweetheart. The only thing is, he's lost a lot of weight, so I need to make sure I beef him up to look like a Santa. But other than that, whatever time you all think.
I think that's a great idea, Grace. And you brought up a valid point about the kids and the Santa. I think we should just link these two items and on the flyer that we send out, that we definitely reference your event on the 19th. And I think the kids will basically get a 2-for-1 this year.
Exactly.
Thank you, Grace.
My pleasure. And I also have a recommendation for a DJ who does a lot of games for the kids. She's great. And I will see if I can negotiate like a nonprofit, rate with her, but she's just amazing. She brings all kinds of things for the kids to participate in and such. And I'll put you in contact with that, Courtney.
Thank you so much. That was the one thing that we needed.
Yeah, I have somebody really good. She's amazing.
That would be great. And also, if they're able to provide lighting, because the DJs and the quotes I had gotten thus far were approximately $150 an hour. So we definitely need to be under that number if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I heard what the budget is, and I think it's pretty high, but I respect that. I'm not on the board, but I will do my best to try to get something a lot more, less expensive, so you can save some dollars on the food side and whatever else you're doing.
Yes.
But yeah, absolutely. I'll negotiate with her. She knows it's a nonprofit and a neighborhood event. So yeah, for sure. I'll help out wherever I can.
Okay, thank you.
And may I have another word here?
Go ahead.
I would have hoped that if you were going to come to a decision about the proposed amendments, you would have shared them and with meeting participants, and given everybody a chance to understand why they were being proposed. And we could have had a discussion on them before you arrived at your vote. Now, I assume that it is your right to have simply decided that you weren't going to allow the item to be discussed by anyone or in full at this meeting. But I question really whether that was an appropriate decision, because members of an association do have the right to participate in all meetings and discuss matters that the board is going to vote on, whether or not the members vote on it, but at least be aware of what the issues are and be able to discuss them. So I question whether that was appropriately handled. If you're talking now that you're going to send them out to the community, I don't really get what the reason for that would be. What are you going to do? I have been, as you know, dragged through the mud. If I filed a lawsuit, there's no reason why the board or Mike or anyone had to throw it out on the Google group and subject me to the incredible amount of degrading, belittling, discrediting remarks that I have been subjected to simply as a result of attempting to assert my right. Normally lawsuits are handled with discretion.
Deb, I would like to answer your question on.
Okay, so let me go on. So here you're talking about now sending out a component, a part of what I had hoped might be an issue that could resolve our differences and put an end to them completely. And you're going to do what? You're going to send it out to the community after you've voted on. And what are you going to say? Oh, Deborah wanted to do this, but we didn't want to, so we voted no. And all
May I answer
me out of town on a rail are going to go, ha ha. The way you're handling all this stuff.
No, that was the reason. May I please answer you? The reason why we even said we would send it out, because the question came up on this chat twice.
So
okay?
what
Well,
I'd
members
like
of
to
the community
propose,
can see
I
it in
would
the
like
chat.
to
Just scroll to the
propose,
right.
may I propose that I'll note down the name of anyone who wants me to send it to them.
Okay.
Here at this meeting, all right? And I will send it to them.
But if we
Okay.
want the members to,
I don't want
if we
them
want
to-
to change the
No, we
bylaws,
want
what's the
transparency.
problem with sending that to the members so that they can
You've
see
already
them?
voted. You've
Deb,
voted.
you gave up that right when you sent it to us. It's our property now. And you
Mike,
should have
I
sent
know-
it to the whole
we have
neighborhood.
not voted. Well, if I can say something, we haven't voted no on the bylaws that you're proposing. We just, first off,
We're
we need to wait
tabling
2
it.
weeks. We need to wait 2 weeks per the bylaws, because they have to be in writing. So we need to wait 2 weeks. So today's meeting would not have been appropriate to consider the item.
No, I'm not asking
And we don't,
anybody to vote
and we're
on
not going to consider the item in December because you have an entire board that's resigning. And the next board, starting in January, can take up all of these proposed bylaws, but we don't think it's
I know, but
appropriate for
it's
this board
harder
to
to
do
get
it.
a 2/3 majority in January. And in addition, you guys are very aware of the reasons behind my asking for getting these changed. You're witnesses, you've been
Deb,
parties to
your
this
point isn't
whole
coming
thing.
across clearly. Your point isn't coming across clearly.
All right,
And I
thank you.
think
My
the
point-
other
my point
issue,
is, I've already suffered enough damage
But
from
you're
this
not making sense.
association.
It's not making sense.
I have suffered a tremendous amount of damage because of this association, because of how
How?
you've been handling.
I personally have never met you in person. How have we caused you so much damage? I didn't even know you wanted to
as
make
a
adjustments in
homeowner,
June.
as a property owner, Courtney, when I hear people saying you can't hold an association member accountable because they're a volunteer, and I know that, wait a moment, I can certainly hold you accountable. You are subject to legal duties and requirements. And I'm being told our volunteers aren't subject to that. How frustrating do you think that is to me? How do
Why?
you think
You're
I feel
right.
as a
You're correct.
homeowner? How do you think I feel as a homeowner? I would you put power to impact your neighborhood, your property, your home, your how much you pay in taxes into the hands of an unregulated, unaccountable group of people? Of course you wouldn't. And all year long, that's what I was hearing. We don't have to respond to you. We have no duty to respond to you. We are just volunteers. We're not regulated. We're not the, and I am going, where is this association going? I'm asking, where are these people getting these crazy ideas that they don't have to obey any laws?
Who said that to you?
And you know what? And I think that's a very important issue for our entire community. And I'm getting absolutely driven out of town and called the most horrible names simply because
Deb, I really
I'm
don't
asking for
understand.
clarity.
I think I speak on behalf of the board. We don't understand why you're so upset, really. I just don't understand.
So you don't understand that a property owner would want a board to acknowledge that it has to follow the law?
Of course. I
What
am
board
a
member said we
law-abiding
don't have to follow the
citizen.
law? The neighbors said that, not the board.
Well, then it should have been up to you to make sure that the neighbors understood that they were
didn't bring it
wrong.
up at a meeting. We're not meeting at the dog park or in the street.
When you saw me being dragged through the mud, being called all kinds of names, don't you think you had a duty to me
No.
to stand? Oh,
No.
After
Why would
and
you
that's
have a
why
duty
we have
to
a
do that?
problem.
Debbie, after you accused us of, doing things illegally, doing things on purpose in secret, you really feel that we felt a responsibility toward you and wanted, I'm going to stop
I'm
talking.
lost. I mean, you guys
Don't
have
file a
to-
lawsuit
Right.
if you're not proud of it, Deb.
Really?
Stand on your
No, no,
stand
no.
up
I
and be
know
And you're
proud.
going to be,
Think
you're
you're right.
going to be on the next board, and you can
I
change
know
the commitment.
exactly what
You
I'm
can take your
doing.
opportunity
Please.
to educate the people of the neighborhood, and you're going to
I
be
know
on the board,
exactly what
right?
I'm doing.
The members have a right to know if there's a lawsuit against their board and what the terms of it are. There's no,
Excuse me, but you don't throw it out on the Google group, okay? You don't invite people to just beat me up. That's not the
I
way you
didn't.
handle things.
Deb, just so we're
There's
clear,
been a lot of bullying. That's why I want to, that's another reason why I want
Be
these
proud.
bylaws to be amended. So we stop
Okay.
the bullying.
Mike,
can
can
I
we?
can't just throw your
All right,
weight around.
can we
and
pull
drag
back for
people
just
through
one
the mud.
second? Deb, I want to be clear that no one on the board is here to attack you, and we're not going to encourage people to attack you. The concerns that you're bringing up now are some of the same ones that you accused us of. You're asking us to keep things private that you've sent us, and it should be communicated to all the membership. That's the only thing we're doing. That's why every letter, every correspondence that we've been getting, if you've noticed, we've been sending that information back out to the community as soon as we got it. And that's why this information is going to be shared as well. No one is here to attack you.
Why would you
You
want to do
asked
that,
us to be
Walt?
more
Walt?
open, and that's what we're trying to do.
Walt,
And
why
people
would you
have
want
asked
to do
for it.
that if you've already voted on it? Why would you want to share it?
because members asked.
Members asked, and it's going to be up also to the next board, right, to consider it. It's not like we said it cannot be considered by anyone ever again. There's going to be a new board, hopefully in 2 months, that you're going to be part of, and that you can take your amendments to the bylaws and educate the community on what the board should and should not do.
I
And
asked you
it's gonna
in a
be up to you.
private letter. I sent it to you in a private letter to the board. I didn't send it to the community.
Okay,
Your lawyer sent it.
No,
We're talking about
we're
two
talking
different
about a
things.
different thing, Mike.
talking about two
Okay.
different things. That's right.
We're
Yes.
talking about my
But how can you
proposal to
expect
amend
us?
bylaws.
How can you expect the neighbors to discuss it like you wanted if it's a private letter? You should have sent it to the whole membership.
No, I would have expected you to have brought it up appropriately and given them a chance at the board meeting to consider. We could have had a discussion about the merits
Well,
of
they
it.
have to read everything. You need
Well,
time to prepare.
We could have had a discussion of, okay, but we could have had a preliminary discussion. Then you could have sent it out, and the association, it could have been handled in a way that would have at least given it a chance for
It
people.
will
to
be on the next
consider it.
board. You're gonna have a right to do that on the next board.
First, you shoot it down, and then you're going to send it out after you shoot it down. Excuse me. I don't
Well, they
really think
asked.
that's fair.
Only because they asked it, okay? That was the
So
only
now I'm asking you, please do not
No.
proceed in
Deb,
that
you've,
manner.
Deb, you've been demanding transparency of the board. It can't be selective transparency. The idea of transparency is transparency, and you've been the one advocating for it.
Excuse me. This is really, you are being so unfair to me. It is really,
No.
really incredible. And that.
I'm
this
sorry
is
you feel that way.
Oh, you really seem to be very sorry.
Okay. I wish
If
to move
we
on.
have nothing additional,
Let's
we
move
can go ahead
on.
and move on.
Yes. I don't believe we have anything left on the agenda unless I'm forgetting something. Can anyone else think of anything? Finances, Mike, I know you've mentioned it.
Yeah, just real quickly, basically we have in the general account, 4,994, and in the pet fund is 1184.
All right. Oh, Mike, Hannah should have sent you some information regarding renewing the website that we have. Did you receive that? And is
No, I
that
did not.
calculated in the budget?
I did not receive that.
Okay.
So I'll maybe she can reach out again.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think that concludes everything. I just wanted to, I'll put it in the meeting minutes. I did reach out to FP&L after our last meeting, and I tried to request more documents that would show us better how they made this decision not to include the south side of the neighborhood. And basically they're citing confidentiality and that they're not able to share any of that information. So I'm gonna share their letter that went out to me, so everyone is aware, because we had that discussion last month. That I had on my agenda, and that was it. Okay. Does anyone else have any other comments or questions, or can we conclude this meeting?
I think we can conclude. We're a bit late tonight, and I apologize for everyone, but I think it was important information that we needed to communicate. So again, thank you for everyone coming and being a part of this meeting.
Yes, thank you to everyone, and we will be sending out some emails, especially in regards to the holiday party, and hope that we can get some volunteers. Thank you, Amy Powers, who already said she would volunteer. Really appreciate it, and we hope we can pull off a good community holiday party and get everyone together at the end of the year. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for attending.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for your work.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you for attending this evening. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
Be well,
night.
everyone. Stay safe, please.
Thank you
Good night. Good night. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right.